appreciate you joining and being with like-minded people that are keen on safety. As I said earlier, is that workplace safety is so important. It can impact on individuals as well as business. Not only the bottom line, but again, if someone is injured, normally it just becomes a permanent impairment, which means it's an ongoing issue, health-wise as well. So I've been trying to find a way to be able to reach as many people as possible with the knowledge and the experience that I do have. I've worked in a large organization for many years. And I'm working in my business, and I've been working in my business for many years as well. So I've been working with private enterprise as well as heavy industry. And with a combination of that experience, I'm able to help different types of businesses. So the whole gist of this presentation is about how implementing effective safety processes help improve safety performance and your bottom line. So house rules. Please put your cameras on. And I know you've set aside this time, so as much as possible, I'd like you to have something to take home with you. And then do comment in the chat. So I will prompt you now and again to get in and just give me some sort of a response. And I want you to enjoy the webinar as well. So what do you want to achieve? What are your goals? What are your reasons for being here today? So I'll tell you mine. My goals for today is for you to walk away with something new or something helpful. My goal for you today is for you to walk away with the knowledge that you can do it. My goal for today, for those that want to learn more, need to learn more, is to be assured that I can and I want to help you. As I do have a special offer at the end of the video, or the webinar rather. So imagine what it would be like if you grasp that inner secret here today, that you'll be able to take back to your workplace and prevent that incident or accident within your business, within your workplace, and it would help to improve your bottom line. I'm sure many of you are aware, or you've known of, or you know of Mind Valley. This business is about transformational learning, and Vision is a master of his craft, and so are his clients. I was listening to his social media post, and what he was talking about was how he attended one of his clients' seminars. And in that seminar, he was familiar with most of the information or the topics that were covered. But he said when it came towards the end, he had that aha moment. There was just that one thing that really hit home, and he realized that he could use that strategy within his business. And what he did, he went back to his business, implemented the strategy, and he managed to scale his business from that point on. His business had actually plateaued. It wasn't moving forward. And he was so impressed with that he actually donated a large sum of money to his client for his charitable organization. So why are you here today? What do you want to achieve? Why is it important? What is your role or position? So I'll challenge you on that one. So are you that director or manager in a business? Are you that dean in a university? Are you a CEO? Are you a business owner? If you are top management. I would like you to put DM in the chat. Are you carving out a career path so you can get promotion? Thank you, Steve. I see that DM coming up. Thank you. So if you're carving up that path, it is so important. Put in CC in the chat. Thank you, Sandy. I see you put in CC. Are you in a safety role? Maybe you a safety consultant. Maybe you're a health and safety representative. Maybe you're in that admin role where you have duties around safety. Put SP in the chat. Jan, I think you would be actually in a higher role, Jan, because you're in a managerial role. So you should be putting a DM in the chat. Thank you, Michelle. I see you put PD. And I think that professional development is always also important, because if you're running that business, you need as much knowledge as possible. So whatever role you're in doesn't matter. The work health and safety legislation has an obligation for every one of us that are in the workplace, in business, to ensure safety in the workplace. There's just this quote, it says, leadership is not about being the best, it's about making everyone else better. So if you want to put a yes or a no in the chat, have you thought about the risk and the consequences of those unsafe work conditions in your workplace? Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Steve. That is so important. So important. You need to really be able to, preempt that. And if you can preempt that, then you're in the position to put safe preventative strategies in the workplace. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself and my journey. Like anyone, when I got to my teens, left school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. In my 30s, I got an administrative position in human services. And one of my roles was to process workers' compensation. And in that role, basically, I would meet up, staff would come in, and basically they would, provide me with documentation. They'd have their chat with me. They'd, use me as a sounding board, because they'd be quite depressed because they were injured. And they tell me how it's impacted on their career path. It's impacted on their lifestyle, their family dynamics, etc. And they might also have told me how that accident happened. And in the back of my mind, I thought, well, there could have been preventative strategies in place. And our organization was, the insurance premium was going up by 2 million a year. And the injury rate was classified as that of mining. The only difference is that we didn't have the fatalities. Our general manager then put in a safety program. And of course, I became interested in that because what I was also experiencing, because we had so many workers that had permanent impairment, they were no longer able to go back to their pre-injury duties. So I was processing commutations, responding to subpoenas. And in responding to the subpoenas, I realized that I didn't know much about the law. So that's when I started my distance learning with the University of Newcastle. So when the general manager started the safety program, I was actually studying, and at the same time, the organization was going through change. And many of the experts in their field, such as occupational therapists, trainers, return to work coordinators, knew that I had a passion for safety. So they'd come and brief me. Oh, this is the documents I got. This is what I'm doing now, et cetera, et cetera. So by the end of my studies, when I came to do my thesis was actually based on the historical dissertation of the organization and how they reduced their premium and the injury rate. And their premium was actually reduced by 50%. So from 16.2 million, it went down to 8.6. So with all that knowledge, I had the desire to help. So I left my position, or I resigned my position with the large organization, and I decided that I wanted to learn more about private enterprise and other industries. So that's when I started my business, and that was my focus. So what I came across is basically education is so important in educating people about safety. So that's what I do. And my plan is to make a difference. And that is where I'm working towards. I'd like to share my unbroken rules, if that's okay with you. The first thing that is so important is respecting and understanding my role. I'm working with clients that are vulnerable. Their safety records are probably not what they want them to be. They also get to the point and say, I'm frustrated, I feel like I'm failing. So again, there's also a lot of confidentiality around of that. What I found that's really important is listening to my clients, understanding their needs, giving them that support, and also providing them with solutions that are easy, that are workable. And yet at the end of the day, we achieve compliance. So for me, their wins are my win too. So what is the purpose of business? To increase revenue, to increase profitability. How do you achieve that? It's through improving your processes and being efficient. So what would hinder business viability and growth and profitability? It's stop work. More recently, in the last 3 years, yes, we had stop work, but we had no control over that. That was due to public health orders. But we have control over incidents and accidents within the workplace, and they cause stop work. So if that's the case, why wouldn't we find a way to prevent that loss in our business? Doesn't it make sense to minimize expenses so that we can increase our bottom line? So I'm going to give you this challenging statement. Ineffective safety leadership hinders the ability of many organizations, businesses, workplaces to achieve their business goals. I want you to hold that thought. Firstly, I need to explain a few things and it will make sense later. So right now you might be struggling and thinking, I've done everything imaginable, and my income hasn't risen, and my workers' compensation is still climbing. This example of the 4-minute mile, I've heard it at different conferences, presentations. So I looked at it from a safety perspective. As I said to you, our organization had done everything that they thought possible to ensure a safe workplace. But unfortunately, it didn't work for them. But once they got that strategy, that link, and they put it in place, that's when they made the change. It reduced the injury rate, it reduced the insurance premium, and of course, it built up a good safety culture, as well as the staff became more confident and happy with it, had job satisfaction. So today I'm going to speak to you about 3 strategies that can help you in your leadership role. So when I say leadership role, I'm not only talking to you about your as managers, I'm talking about your leadership in safety. No matter what level you're at, you are leading in safety. So the first strategy is getting you to understand and fulfill your leadership role. The second is getting to look at what processes are in place or need to be in place so that you can achieve compliance. The third place is, if safety is not a priority, what are the consequences? So in the first strategy, understanding and fulfilling your leadership role, you have a responsibility. What are those barriers that are in place? And how do you get that understanding? So once again, if you're a director, you're a manager, dean of a university, CEO, business owner, under the work health and safety legislation, you have an obligation to ensure a safe workplace. You are driving the business. So what's under this work health and safety obligations, they say that you are the decision maker, you have the power to influence change. That is really important, and it's important in that it actually puts that onus back on you in that role. So do you agree? Anyone in a leadership role is a decision maker. They are an influencer. They have the power to make change. And they have a responsibility to do that. Would you agree? Put yes in the chat if you believe that. Thank you, Michelle. Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. Definitely. So when it comes to like safety personnel, admin, or workers, basically their level of obligation varies. So for myself, I'm a freelance safety consultant. When I go and assist a client, I do specific safety services or provide specific products. So that's where my limitation comes in. If you're an HSR as well, or health and safety representative, the same happens there. If you're in an admin role, most times you're more or less involved in records management. And then if you're a worker, you are required to not harm yourself or others. So work health and safety training is absolutely essential because that gives you the knowledge around safety. So whether you're doing a certificate for diploma or degree, is it enough? What more do you need? Do you need practical experience, understanding? We know that the regulator only gives guidance. So is this you? Have you done various safety courses and workshops, yet you feel like you haven't quite grasped the knowledge and the skill to be effective in your safety role? When my clients have been, when they call me or they have called me or they've been calling me all these years, when I come to the initial consultation, this is what I walk into, whether they're in the boardroom, whether it's in their offices. They have usually two piles on the desk, on their desks or the table. It might be, so one pile will be the safety management system. The other pile will be all the folders of the training they've done over time. And basically, they're saying to me, yes, I know this is the safety law. I know the risks in the business, but I'm not getting it. I need help. So this is when I help them. And part of it, I mentor and coach. I just want to take you back a little bit. Do you remember the times we had when the plasma TV came in fashion, so to speak? We were used to these big, bulky televisions. And all of a sudden, there was this thin, flat screen, and yet the technology was a lot advanced. I often remembered going into electronic stores and, one hall, a full hall of that shop would have various sizes of television screens, whether they were small, big, different sizes, etc. And you could just walk along there and the salesman would basically point out, oh, this one's a clearer screen, or this one is the size, etc. But if you remember, every 2 or 3 months, these models were upgraded. They had new features, more features, better, and so forth. And it continued that way. And I quite remember, later when we did go, back to those stores to try and buy a television, you notice that the salesman was more knowledgeable. He no longer, explained to you just about, this is a better picture. They went deeper into that. This has so many pixels. And then when you look at the laptops and as well as the desktops, that's when we began to find out it's got RAM, hard drive, so many pixels, a video card, the graphics. And then, of course, we also have the gamers. The gamers want an AMD processor, which is faster. So what happened then is that the stores, the owners of the stores realized in order to make better sales, to improve their sales, they had to educate their sales personnel to be able to be knowledgeable on the products that they were selling, and where possible, get them to use the product. Because as a consumer, we learned more and more, and we do research, we learn from each other, and we'd walk in, and if that salesman was knowledgeable and could answer our questions and we were confident, we would be more likely to purchase that electronic equipment. So it's no difference in safety. If you're that leader, you need that depth of knowledge that when you are speaking to staff, or if you standing up to maybe deliver a presentation, they need to be confident and need to trust in you that you are knowledgeable as well as keen to make that change. I'm not sure if you're aware of William Deming. He's became very famous for his total quality management. He helped the manufacturing industry in Japan to improve their manufacturing, improve quality service, and also implement quality processes within the manufacturing of any product they developed. Now, what he says here is if you can't describe what you are doing as a process, you do not know what you are doing. I'll say it again. If you can't describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. So that is something to really keep in mind. So I'll go to the second strategy. So what process needs to be implemented to achieve compliance? So you look at the requirements, you look at you need to be up to date with the legislation. And again, have an expert in to support you. The first requirement is meeting the safety standard. Every business must meet the safety standard. The second is the safety regulations. Both the safety standards and the safety regulations are law. A business must meet both of those. Think about your business. Every business is different. The other thing you need to look at is, are there any standards or regulations that are applicable to my type of business? So think about food services. They have to meet food standards as well. Then you're probably looking at maybe construction, mining, any one of those as well. Have to then look at what is applicable in terms of the standards, in terms of the regulations, so they can be compliant with the work health and safety legislation and the requirements. Then we have the codes of practice, which are guidelines only. But again, using those guidelines is essential. So in a nutshell, we have to meet every standard that is involved with safety, so we can meet compliance. We need to ensure that we're compliant with the regulations and any standards or regulations that are applicable to our business type. And lastly, I'll talk about it's essential to make sure you're on track. So you need to either have that expert that comes into your workplace and helps you establish that system, safety system to begin with. Or otherwise, if you've established the system, get a safety person to come and give you that audit. Often workplaces don't realize their safety management system is their law. It's your law. If you don't realize it's your law, that is what is going to give you compliance. That is what is going to be the requirement for your workers to follow. So I'll give you this other example as well, so it will make a little bit of sense. This too is with regards to Japan. A Japanese vehicle manufacturing company had a particular model of vehicle that became very popular globally. And they were doing a lot of exports to America. And basically, after a while, they thought, well, why don't we rather set up another assembly plant in America? it will be more obviously cost effective, etc. So they did. Over time, they began to get feedback from their clients. And the question they asked is, why is it that the Japanese model has a higher performance than the American model, yet it's the same vehicle, same model? So what the manufacturer did, they called in experts. They had the two different vehicles side by side. So the vehicle that was assembled in Japan, the vehicle that was assembled in America. And these experts stripped the cars part by part, measured, and just ensured that they were comparing and making sure that they were, there was no difference in them. Eventually, they came to one part that was millimeters difference between the two vehicles. And the conclusion was that it was the millimeter difference that made the Japanese car a higher performing vehicle than the American assembled vehicle. Millimeters. So reviewing and auditing are really essential in managing safety effectively and preventing incidents and injuries. I'll now go on to strategy 3. So if safety compliance is not a priority, you are non-compliant, and there are consequences. So what does non-compliance look like? You're not meeting the standards, you're at risk of incidents and injury, you're in breach of the safety laws and regulations. This even could include criminal law. You're not compliant with standards or regulations that are applicable to your type of business. You are open to litigation and penalties. So here it says the business can be derailed by a serious occurrence. So I've got a case study here, and maybe it will be a little bit more helpful for you. This was a very successful business owner. She built her business over 40 years. Her name was Maria Clarkson. She had a junkyard. They said she sold from toasters to trucks, and you could just about find anything in her junkyard. However, they said she had a bit of a brash manner, and she was notorious in her community for her unique career choice. Maria had a downfall. She had one serious incident that resulted in a fatality. Maria was driving the forklift. She had lifted the tines up 3 meters high. She had an employee on one side. She had a metal bin on the other. The employee was pulling down metal scraps and throwing them into the bin. Maria was driving on uneven surfaces, and the forklift tilted. The worker fell off, and the metal bin fell on top of him and crushed him. Maria was an unlicensed forklift driver. She was one of the first people to be prosecuted under Section 32 of the Act for reckless endangerment. Maria was jailed for 6 months. She was fined, and she had to pay all legal costs. The regulator deemed her negligent. And because she was deemed negligent, she was open to a common law claim. So what that means is that the deceased worker's family could sue Maria for loss, pain, and suffering. And again, because she was deemed negligent by the regulator, her insurance company would not pay for any damages or any legal fees. All that had to come out of Maria's own pocket. So why do we have licensing? Licensing is usually mandated when there's high risk. And what that means is that serious injury, permanent impairment, or death can occur. So that's why they have licensing. The work health and safety law is in place. It's in place not only to protect the worker, your clients, or visitors to your work site. It's there to protect you and the business, or you and the company and the organization that you are in. So it prevents both human loss and financial loss to the business or to the organization. So as we can see, there are consequences when there's non-compliance. Yes, sometimes people get away with it. Often people have said that to me. I've just been doing this for the last 36 years. I've had no problems. But just that one chance, like what's happened to Maria. Maria was over 70 years old. She had had a stroke. She's obviously in that position to retire. But of course, now she's suffering from her reputation is marred in the community. I mean, after the death, she'd obviously had some psychological impact on her. However, if Maria was licensed to drive the forklift and she had safety, she had safety processes in place and was compliant, this could have been a different situation altogether. So we've completed the 3 strategies. The first is about the leader and the importance of being or having that ability to influence change. The next is understanding what processes need to be in place so that compliance can be achieved. And the final one is, well, if I don't do this, what are the consequences? So for me, these three strategies that I've covered are actually the foundations. They are foundations if you want to achieve safety in that workplace. The main ones, that's the starting point. That needs to be in place, that needs to be understood. So this is a quote. The pursuit of change must come from within, so it projects out to influence change. So I'd set you out a challenge. I said ineffective safety leadership hinders the ability of many workplaces, organizations, companies to achieve the business goal. So what's your thoughts on that? So I'll leave you with that and I'll move ahead. They say you don't know what you don't know. Often when I heard this, I was a bit confused, but over time I've realized how much sense this makes. So may I ask you a question? I've covered a lot in the short time. And I hope through the 3 points that you have got something out of it. So why I ask is because what these 3 strategies I've been able to deliver in the space of time are actually part of a program that I developed. My clients have come to me and they've said to me, Basically, these are the issues we're having about worker health and safety. Can you help us? Because we need to, implement strategies, because I suppose they saw the urgency to be able to do that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the rest of the program, which will make a little bit more sense. And as I go through that, that might also give you just maybe that other strategy or that other thing to think about in terms of ensuring safety in your workplace. So is that okay with you, that I give you that? Did you want to put something in the chat? Yes, no? Thanks, Marian. Thanks, Steve. So this is what I've developed. As I said, with my clients, it's normally face-to-face. But I've been looking at, how do I reach more people? How do I deliver this message? I got all this information and knowledge, and I'm just sharing it with my clients. And usually, I suppose it's from a financial perspective, they're in a good place, and they're able to have me one-on-one. But how do I then share it with others? Because I know, for me, being a return to work coordinator, I've had injured workers sitting the other side of me and really telling me just the impact that work health, the injury has done to them. So with my experience, and for me having this knowledge, is saying, how do I pass this message on? Because workplace injury is not a good place to be. So I'll explain this, I'll just go through the program and tell you the topics that are covered in it. So as I said, this is a fast-tracked elite program. And the 8 weeks means that it provides you with the information that you need hands-on to actually implement straight into your workplace. So we've gone through the first 3 strategies. So as I say, these are the foundational ones. They're the fundamental ones. This needs to happen before even you move forward. So we've spoken about these. And as I said, remembering that you are the decision maker, you are the influencer, and that is what needs to happen for you in order to be able to make that change and change that safety culture within your workplace. And again, looking at the systems and processes that need to be in place to ensure compliance. And the third one we looked at is the consequences. What if this is not a priority? What if safety is not a priority? What will happen? If you look at any situation, even if it's a child, if you're giving them instructions, there's always the why. Why should I do it? Answering the why is extremely important, because this is what I found with my clients. If they didn't know the why, they were less likely to follow through with implementing safety processes and doing the step-by-step procedures to be able to be compliant. But when they knew the why, it made a difference. So next one is, then that's when we now look at, okay, this is your workplace. These are your incidents. This is inherent risk in your business or in your workplace. And then what are those other things that, could impact? Because you look at the environment, you look at even the workforce, how are they creating even more? How are they introducing more risk into the business? So really it's getting down to that fine tuning and really looking at it, you might say, with a magnifying glass, and just looking at what are those possibilities. I asked you earlier to say, have you thought about, what risks or that in your workplace would cause unsafe work conditions. And that's exactly what you're doing at this point. And this helps you then to determine what preventative strategies to put in place. The next level is, yes, you set up your system. You've got the roadmap, you've got all the policies and procedures in place. But what then if your workers are not non-compliant? That means, it's creating an unsafe work condition. So compliance is key, and we have to get the workers to buy in. So even if, for example, if you're thinking about, road safety, traffic safety, we got the traffic lights. And if we're not obeying the signals, if we're not following what the signals are directing, then, there could be, serious workplace accidents. So in the same way, if your workers are they're non-compliant, then there's that risk of workplace injuries and workplace accidents. So the next one is contractors. Contractors are essential to every business, whether it's a micro business or whether it's, construction or mining. Every business uses contractors. There is a fallacy. If I contract out the work, I contract out the risk. That is not true. By employing contractors, you are introducing a liability to your business. And that liability has to be managed. It's so important to remember that. It has to be managed. You are the principal. You have a duty of care. And then the seventh one is basically, what then if there's that incident or injury? How can I effectively manage that? So let's go back a little bit. Let's think about incidents. There's different types of incidents, like environmental. So environmental incident might be a dangerous occurrence. There are policies, procedures, regulations around that. Then it might be damage to property or plant and machinery. Again, that must be managed. So even if you're thinking about forklifts, think of warehouses. There have to be traffic management plans within place. Plus, they have other implementation that they put in place, whether it's structures or, fencing or whatever it might be. But that's what they do in order to prevent workplace incidents in terms of the environment, the workplace environment. Then you have maybe a workplace where the individual is injured. So while there is workers' compensation to look after that injured worker, often workplaces believe that if the insurer has provided a case manager for that injured worker, they don't need to be involved in the management of that injured worker's claim or supporting them around their work recovery. That is not true. If you understand, or if you come to understand that a case manager might have something like 130 cases to manage. So what's going to happen? The squeaky wheel is the one that's going to get all the attention. So if you're not there, managing it, communicating with them, then, your worker is going to be on the wayside. So your worker might just have a back sprain or strain, and then probably they'll be back to work within 6 weeks. But if they're not getting the proper treatment or the appropriate treatment, this could stretch out for months. And what does that do? It impacts on your your insurance premium. It means it increases the workload within the workplace because they're not back to work. They're unfit. So effective management is such an important part. Early intervention. So you have the preventative strategies, but in that unforeseeable circumstance that workplace incident or accident occurs, effective management and early intervention is key. Then finally, that one-on-one coaching. So what will happen here is I'll sit with my participants and we'll go through the whole program. Okay, tell me what you learned. Have you got any questions? How is this working? What is your workplace like? So we look at the whole picture, pull it together. What is your goal moving forward? So that is that one-on-one with me. So to summarize this whole program has specific steps. So as I said to you, the lower steps is setting that foundation. And those are the 3 strategies I delivered to you today. The 3 strategies. And then it goes on. So every other one that I followed up with is the next step to the next level. So as I said, this is the fast-tracked elite program. It's an 8-week program. So we talk about you understanding and fulfilling your role, how you achieve compliance, what are the repercussions if you're not compliant. How do we then put things in place so you're not going to get that serious workplace injury or incident? How do we get the workers on board? And contractors are the ones that will, bring in, add to your bottom line. But how do we manage that so they're not going to impact on your profitability, but increase it? And then, okay, how do we manage and prevent incidents and injuries? And then, as I say, the coaching program. So the fast-tracked elite program, as I said, 8 weeks coaching online. I have another program which is on my website. It's a 12 to 18 month course. And it covers what I've been talking about. However, as I said, this 8-week program gets my participants on board. It's hands-on. I developed the program so it's concise, to the point, videos to watch, using all the prior knowledge around work health and safety and the transferable skills. So week by week by week, my participants are actually acquiring knowledge that they go back to their workplace and implement that change. I had one of my clients came to me recently and I had a chat. She said to me, look, I've done this work health and safety course. I decided I wanted to move up to a diploma level. She says when she went back to try and she made inquiries to do the diploma level, they turned around and said to her, oh, you've done this, I think it was certificate 4 she did. And basically they said, well, these other subjects are obsolete. And when she looked at it to be able to redo those subjects before she went on to move on to the diploma, it would have taken her 12 months. So she says, look, I don't need this. I need skills that I can actually implement straight into the workplace. In my role, I'm there to just help and ensure a safe workplace. So I need help from that perspective. So I've been able to help that client. So what I want to do is, while I've got you with the 8-week online, the participants with the 8-week online program, I would like to give them these bonuses, which takes them to the next level. So the first bonus I've got here is weekly Zoom calls where there's a question and answer forum. So if they working on, say, week 1 of the program, and they got questions with regards to whether it's their workplace or whether it's, understanding certain content or whatever it might be. That is when they can come into the Zoom and we discuss that. So when you're looking from a different perspective, is that I'm going to be giving them advice. If they're going to come in with another issue that relates to the workplace, they get advice. This advice is normally what I'd give to a client, a paying client. For every time they pick up the phone and ring me and say, we would like you to help us with A, B, and C, it's they pay me for that. So in that question and answer, they're going to get this as a bonus in addition to the 8-week online program. The second thing they're going to get is an extra online training course. If you remembered when, COVID hit in March and we were all sent home with the restrictions because of public health orders, I had many different conversations with different people in business as well. And basically they come back and say to me, look, when COVID hit, I had to work from home. I was working from my kitchen bench. I was working from my couch. I had no equipment. I tried to get equipment, tried to purchase it from the shop, but they were sold out. I went online to purchase equipment. There was an 8-week wait. And I thought maybe, by then maybe we'd be back to work. So I didn't purchase anything. So what I've done now is this course is going to help people set themselves up economically at their workstation. So even if they're doing the course, if they participate in this course, they are going to be sitting safely. We're going to work out around ways how we can do that assessment via video. The next one I've got is electronic templates and checklists. So as I'm going through each week by week and we're going through each strategy, I'll be developing templates and checklists, which they can take back to their workplace and apply it there as they're making those changes. The next one I have is the one-on-one mentoring session. So at the end of all the program, I can sit with them and we have one-on-one mentoring, not coaching, one-on-one mentoring, which means then we look at addressing any other needs they have. And I make sure I can help them and take them to the next level. And then we'll have a private Facebook page where we have community, there's different participants. They can actually, communicate amongst each other, share, and yeah, I find that's really helpful because most times they're sharing their experiences and they can develop relationships as well. So as I said, the benefits, so they have in the Fast Track Elite program, they have the 8-week online coaching program. They have the weekly Zoom support calls where they can, for the Q&A. They have the extra training program. They have the templates and the checklists and the mentoring session, as well as the Facebook private participants page. So what I want to take you through now is the value of this total program. So the 8-week online coaching program is valued at $6,500. The Zoom support Q&A is $2,500. The extra online training course is worth $750. The electronic templates and checklists are $750. The one-on-one mentoring course is valued at $1,500. Then, of course, we have the Facebook page. So the total value that you're going to get for this program, or the total value that it is $12,000. But I'm not going to make it $12,000. I'm not going to make it $7,000. It's going to be $5,000. If you total just the bonuses alone, they're well over $5,000. But as I said to you, my goal is to reach as many people as possible and prevent workplace incidents and injuries, because I know the impact it has on individuals, on workplaces, and businesses. So once again, this fast-track elite program is an 8-week program. It will help to implement strategies straight into the workplace to begin to improve safety. Within that 8 weeks, each participant will have enough knowledge, will gather enough knowledge, hands-on, straight away, that they can apply to their workplace to ensure, at least that, it's workplace safety, etc. And they won't have to go home and spend long hours studying. They might, they might put the kids to bed and maybe spend a half an hour to 3/4 of an hour a night, watch a video, maybe read a few documents, and that's it. That's all they'll need to do. No long hours, so they'll have more family time. And as I said, the contents of it is equivalent to that of a 12-week or 18-week program, but I am making it concise, to the point, so that the participants can take that information straight away and apply it to the workplace. And of course, their knowledge is not going to be obsolete. There are skills that they're going to be able to continue with in the workplace. So if this is something that will be helpful for you, for your workplace, I've got the QR code there. All you need to do is just take your phone, put it onto, to take a photograph, and just go to the QR code. What it will do, it will take you onto my website, where you can register your interest and complete the application form. It won't even take you 10 minutes. So you just provide basic details, put in your, put in your credit card details and make payment. As I said, I am trying as much as possible to help as many workplaces. Often I've had experiences where someone in business comes and says to me, can you, this has happened to me, can you help me? And obviously there's times that it's too late, I can't help them. I was at a work health and safety seminar. It was by the business chamber. And one of the gentlemen stood up and he said, I had one worker on workers' compensation for an extended period. And he says, my premium has now gone up to $20,000. During the break, I managed to chat with him. And after he told me, what the circumstances were, I said to him, do you realize if you had done this, you'd have been able to get suitable duties for your worker, and it wouldn't have impacted on your premium? And he says, yeah, I could have done it. He couldn't do it in his workplace because it was very physical, but he knew another mate or another business owner that would have been able to help him. So I suppose what I'm really saying is that it's important to be able to have that support or to have that knowledge around safety. And it can prevent, besides injuring people at work and giving them permanent impairment, it can also save that business financially. So there's no human loss or financial loss to the business. So that is what my business is about. My business is prevention and effective safety management. So this is why I'm doing this. I've got all this knowledge behind me. And it's just, how do I help others? I'm here to serve. That's what my job is. So as I said, this is the offer. It's $5,000. And this is what it's going to look like for you. It's over the 8-week period. And By the end of the 8-week period, you will be knowledgeable and confident enough to go back to your workplace and be able to turn that safety environment, that unsafe workplace, you'll be able to turn that around. So in doing this, the value that you're going to get out of this is that I've made it easy. I'm going to give you the answers. If you come in and you've got a complicated, situation in your workplace, I'll make it easy. I'll give you those answers during the Q&A. I'll save you time. You're not going to be sitting there night after night reading documents, and at the end of 12 months or 18 months, then you're trying to acquire those skills. I'm giving them to you, hands-on. Hands-on. I'll help you achieve those goals that you want to do, that you want for the business. Reduce that injury rate. Prevent that financial loss in the business. That's what I'm here for. Also reduce that stress. I've had a number of people ringing me. I remember when I was still in the large organization, and I had been out with a client, and I came back late, and I went into the lunchroom. I was having lunch, and the director came into the lunchroom, and she said to me, Faith, do you know this safe work inspector? I said, yes, I do. She says, can you tell me what she's like? And I wasn't thinking. My response to her was, I believe she's pretty tough. And without a response, the director stood up and walked away. And it's only then that it hit me, because the organization had a safety matter, a safety issue that came up. And I think she was due to actually meet with the director. The director was due to meet with the safety inspector, and she was quite nervous, and I didn't recognize that. So I suppose what I'm saying, when something goes wrong within the workplace, when there's that safety issue, when a safety inspector comes on site, each of those managers are going through so much stress. And how do you help them? How do you help them? And that's what I want to do, is help as many people so you're not in that position. Because when you got the knowledge and you know how to make the difference, and you think, well, I could have helped her, it's not a good feeling, because you could have made that difference. So once again, here's a QR code. If you think this is going to be helpful for you, fill out the application form, and I'm willing to help you. So I'll have a few places available, and it's on a first come, first serve basis. So otherwise, often I find that people have other questions. So if you have any questions, here's my contact number. Contact me. Maybe send me an SMS, and we can organize for me to get in touch with you. Also go on my website and just complete the contact form. Tell me what you would like to discuss. Again, it will only take you 10 minutes to do. So if you're seeing this video right now, that means that there's still spots available, and I'm able to help you. I find that sometimes, my clients have said, look, I'd rather have that one-on-one with you. And if there's anyone in the audience that's thinking, look, I'd rather have the one-on-one. I want to be able to, for you to focus on my individual needs. I want exclusive time with you. I want your full attention. And I'd like to schedule it, so it's suitable for both of us. So yes, I do the one-on-one. And I'm able to help my clients, and that's $15,000. So if you filled out the application form and you've put in your credit card, if you need to get in touch with me, I'm happy to do that. If you're a coaching client, you can also give me a call. I'm happy to do that too. So if you have filled out the application form and put in your credit card, you'll get that follow-up email that outlines the registration process. So that will be probably in the next 2 days that we'll get in touch with you. If you have any questions, schedule that call. Schedule that call. As I said, this is my number. This is my website. Because often I find is that, sometimes people don't have the clarity, or they're saying, well, maybe that service is not what I want. This is what I want. So I do various things. I help, as I said, from micro businesses right up to businesses that might have up to 60 employees. I also do one-off projects for large organizations. So help them with their safety systems, helping them with the safety procedures. And as I said, I also work with contractors. Contractors' documentation as such, I work with many of them that are looking for, going on tenders or looking for contracts. So thank you all for attending. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. I think they'll come up in the chat.